So I want to talk about the Iowa game against Penn State. At the time, number three Iowa beat number four Penn State at Iowa in Iowa City, and I was actually in Iowa City during that game. I wasn't at the game. There was no tickets. I went to visit a friend who lives there, and I thought, okay, this is a big game weekend. I might as well just stop by. Uh, Looking at that game, it was just I don't know. Like I honestly think Penn State could have won that game. And here's why. So in the first half, their starting quarterback, Sean Clifford, was in the game, and he threw two interceptions, and Penn State was still up 17-3 before he got injured and had to leave the game in the second quarter. That's kind of crazy. How do you throw two picks and be up that much? That kind of shows that Penn State is a more I guess they're great. They're so great defensively that their offense can be this incomplete, at least in the passing side of things. And they got their backup quarterback who came in. I can't remember his name, but I saw him play, and it was just god awful. He couldn't really make anything happen when he was throwing the ball. Like he had a couple good running plays, but other than that, he just didn't make anything happen. He was kind of reminded me like a discount Lamar Jackson in a way. He just couldn't do anything when he passed, but he could. But he just didn't seem like he fit. And of course, Iowa has a very elite defense, and they just took advantage of this poor kid. And the kid threw two picks as well, and then Iowa came back and won the game. I don't think that Iowa could have won the game if Sean Clifford was still in there. And I'm looking at like their resume this season. They've beaten these three teams: Kent State, Colorado State, and Maryland. And before I get on to the ranked matchups, like, oh, what about Maryland? They were 4-0 when they played Iowa. But there's the thing, though. Like, Maryland also just wasn't ranked to begin with because the committee knows they're not that great. Sure, they lost to Iowa by 51 points. Iowa scored 51 points on them. But the following week, Ohio State scored 61. Like, it can mean two things. Like, Maryland just is not that great in general against any ranked team, or it means Ohio State could be better than Iowa, and Ohio State is in Iowa's conference and in their way of getting to the college football playoffs if they play them in the Big Ten championship game. And then going on to the ranked teams, so like, oh yeah, they beat ranked Indiana and they beat ranked Iowa State. I mean, I don't want to be too hard on Iowa State because that is my school, but after those losses, Indiana and Iowa State haven't really shown anything else. They continued to lose throughout the season. They weren't, in my opinion, they weren't considered ranked teams. And then people want to say, oh, Iowa has one of the best defenses in the country. I agree, it is one of the best, but it also hasn't been challenged. Who has challenged them defensively? Like, I don't recall any big power spread offense or any sort of elite offense going against Iowa. I'm curious how they would react to it. And it's alarming to me that Penn State still put up 17 points on them before Sean Clifford got thrown out. And Sean Clifford's garbage, as you can see from the interception. So I don't know if Iowa is really a college football playoff team. And I want to be fair about it because there's a reason why they're number 2 right now. They keep winning. But I don't know if that will be the case when they get to the end of the season, when they have to play Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game or Penn State again, and this time Sean Clifford might be in the entire game. Then let's hypothetically say that Iowa just proves me wrong and all the haters wrong, and they win the Big Ten, and they are eligible for the college football playoffs. Like, I don't know. Like, let's see who we got in there. It's going to be Georgia. And it's probably going to be Alabama. And if I were to guess who the other spot would go to, be Oklahoma or maybe someone else. But just those three teams alone, they have legit offenses, especially Alabama. Bryce Young is a Heisman contender, and he hasn't missed a step. Well, but Alabama lost to Texas A&M last week in AJ. I'm like, yeah, they did, But here's the thing, though. Like, even though they were behind by so many points, they still continued to roll on like they were just playing a normal game. Like, it didn't even bug them. They tied it at the end of the game. And sure, they lost by a field goal, but it's just the consistency and like how well they continue to play. They didn't lose a quarter after halftime. They outscored Texas A&M the entire second half. And honestly, if you gave them an extra minute or two, they probably could have won the game. Like, Alabama just looks like Alabama to me. I don't think they're any worse than they were the previous year, honestly. And then Oklahoma, that's a power offense team, so we'll have to see how they play against them. And Georgia's defense itself, it's probably the best in the country. I truly think that. Like, how they go about their defense is it's about just straight dominating and applying so much pressure. Like, they know they have the talent, they know they have the size, and they can go and just attack the O-line and go straight to the quarterback. Versus Iowa's defense is a little different. I kind of learned this off of Joe Klatt's skit on defense that he talked about before the Iowa game. It's like Iowa's kind of style is they're consistent, and they'll constantly surround the playmakers in the game, and they'll do the same formation over and over again, and they will just continue to be consistent, and eventually they'll take any opportunity to get a pick. But I just don't see these other teams that are so offensively gifted that will fall for that, and they'll probably break the mold. So to be honest, I don't want to say Iowa's not a college football playoff team, because I think they will make it. I'm just not sure because I haven't seen a matchup, and I don't think I will see a matchup this season until the Big Ten title game if they are really that legit. Yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard to take my word because I'm very anti-Iowa. I mean, my experiences of Hawkeye fans has just been unpleasant. I grew up around Hawkeye fans. I visited Iowa City plenty of times, and this visit to Iowa City was very interesting. I can tell you a lot of things that went wrong. I'll just start with the one that's the most trivial thing. I was in Iowa City, and I went to this bar, and I wanted to close my tab. And you know how it works at bars now. You give them your card, they scan it, or they ring it, and it's, all right, your tab's open. You can have your card back. Okay, cool. So I go to the bar just to close it because I wanted to leave to go somewhere else with my friends. And I told them my name. Like, oh, we don't have your tab. Oh, okay. Well, here's my card. Like, do the numbers look familiar on your system? They literally took my card and went to their computer and nothing. They couldn't find it. And I don't know. I probably should have opened a new tab just to make sure and then close it right away. But in my mind, like, oh, okay, maybe they just didn't do it. So I'm just going to see if I got some free drinks this time. I was wrong. 2 o'clock hit, and my phone sends me notifications when I do transactions. Right at 2 o'clock, I got a big, hefty transaction from Joe's Place. That was the name of the bar. And bars now, they'll not only close your tab, but they'll give you an inconvenience fee, and I was not very happy to see that. So that was the first red flag in the good old city of Iowa. Second red flag, which was, in their defense, was pretty much my fault too. I was at another bar that same night, and me and my buddy were just sitting there looking at this light switch, and I was being stupid, being curious when I shouldn't have been. I saw the light switch. I'm like, what's this light switch do? I don't see it connect to anything. I'm literally flickering on and off, and like, oh well, something's going on. My buddy, what he told me was, like, as I was doing that, this kid comes out of the beer cooler, pissed off as hell, because some idiot, me, was flickering the lights to his beer cooler, and he couldn't find the beers looking for. And it was probably so busy and crowded, and he was so overwhelmed, he definitely didn't want to have trouble finding just beer. So this guy, I swear, this guy was like 5'5". I'm like 6'3", so I'm like almost a foot taller than this dude. This guy's 5'5", had like a mullet, which was very hard to take serious. He comes up behind me as I'm flickering the lights. By surprise, he grabs my armpits from behind. He's just like, you got to leave. You got to go. I warned you, you got to go. I'm like, well, you didn't warn me, but I'll go. Just don't tickle me, man. I was very shocked. And then I wasn't going to put up a fight because it's stupid. I shouldn't have to I shouldn't have to fight back just to stay in a bar that I really didn't want to be in that long. It's like, all right, go. Just let go of me. I will walk. Is that the door? Okay, I'll go out the door. And I'm still confused by why he pretty much came at me. My buddy said, "Oh well, you were flickering the lights to the beer cooler." Like, okay, that makes a lot more sense. All right, so I'll give him that. I'll give myself that. But then the third red flag was I like to go get burritos. I don't like Chipotle, but I like Qdoba. I like good authentic burritos. And one that I loved growing up in Iowa was Pancheros. Pancheros is founded in Iowa City, and you can only get the Panchero burritos in Iowa. And I was like, you know what? I really want a Pancheros burrito before the end of the night. So it was Saturday night. Everyone's out in the bars, getting drunk. Well, me, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go get a Panchero burrito now before it gets too crowded at bar close. I went around like 11:30, midnight. Dead wrong. Line took forever. Almost went out the door. I'm like, well, I might as well just commit to it. So I wait in line, and 25 minutes, I'm only halfway through this damn line. I should have knew what I was getting myself into when I got close to the counter and saw the ingredients, and like there were holes in the tortillas that I really liked. The lettuce looks slightly red. And my guess is it's been out all day. And then the meat looked dry as hell. At that point, I should have just walked out the door to my right, but I was so hungry and I waited so long. It's like, fuck it. I will try it. I will try this burrito. Took one bite. Most of it fell out of my hand. And when I started chewing, it just felt like I was eating a flour napkin with a bunch of expired stuff in my in it. I was so disappointed because I can't believe I waited that long for a burrito that just wasn't satisfying at all. Yeah, so that was my Iowa City story last weekend. It just goes to show that the Hawkeyes still suck.